Round 2 of the Northwest Suburban Cat Clash has a lot on the line, as the winner of this game will have the inside track to the 1 seed in Section 7 4A. The Centennial Cougars are looking for a sweep over the Blaine Bengals. Centennial on a hot streak, winners of 7 of their last 8. Blaine hoping to get back on track after a hot start to their season.
Yeah, it's interesting. Both of these teams have had both, whether it's Blaine having that quick start. They had a 9-0 beginning and then now kind of struggled, had a few losses in their season. And Centennial, a little bit of the reverse. They had trouble at the beginning and then now have started to find their groove.
And just to get the intros out of the way, I'm Mike Beaton. She's Blythe Whaley, in case you were wondering who is
who's talking to
on
you.
Camera. Right, who's talking to you, viewers out there. For Blaine, the offense runs through Jade Bryant. She is their top 3-point shooter. She's their leading scorer. Centennial, I talked to their coach. They said they're going to try to keep an eye on Jade because she has had a fantastic stretch as of late. Blythe, what makes her such a lethal 3-point shooter?
Yeah, it's definitely, she's just had that experience for them. She's been one of those players that they've looked to help get them out of circumstances, whether that means they got down and they're looking to feed her. She's been able to execute and find the hole. But I think for her, the biggest thing is when she gets hot, how can they continue to feed her and use that energy, because they build off of it. You see players like Allison Terry start to rise to the occasion as well. When Jade starts to sink some of those threes, she'll also kind of open up some of those other players to continue to help Blaine get a victory.
Centennial winners of 7 of their last 8. They were 2 points away from making it 8 straight. They lost a close one with Maple Grove. Camille Cummings, the beacon of consistency for the Cougars, but you have a rising star in Autumn McCall, the freshman. She was moved to JV for a couple of games. As head coach Jamie Sobolik put it, to give her less to think about, thought she was overthinking things on the court, and she has responded valiantly. 2 double-doubles, including 16 points and 16 rebounds in the last meeting of this series. If Autumn McCall has another performance like that, Centennial could get that sweep.
Yeah, it's been neat to see. Of course, we saw these teams match up. You and I were on the call for that one, and that's something that they know they have these players like Autumn McCall that have really stepped up in this later part of the season and have helped them start to get these wins and that record to bump up to that now winning streak.
We'll see if Centennial can extend that winning streak when we return. This is high school girls basketball on North Metro TV.
When times get dark, we can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for help with food, healthcare, and other resources.
211, how can I help you?
Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211, get connected, get help.
We rejoin you at the den, Mike Eden and Blythe Whaley, in what is a big game, not just for conference implications, but section implications. Blaine 6-1 against section teams this season. Centennial 4-0. A win here, and you get the inside track to the 1 seed. Blaine and Centennial will more than likely host the first 2 rounds. The championship will be at North Branch, so a neutral site. But the higher seed line you have, the easier path you get. That being said, Andover and Cambridge Isanti are no pushovers. But that 1 seed gives you a little bit of confidence heading into that postseason.
Like you said, I think the confidence builder, just even to have that mentally, to know, hey, we're the #1 seed, we've put ourselves in position. I think that can help. And I think both these teams are fully capable of having that happen. You saw Blaine got out to that rocketing start this season, and now they still have that in them to keep it going, but have had a tougher schedule lately.
They run into some turbulence. Blaine won their first 9 games of the season. Since then, they are 4-5. They lost 3 straight to Centennial, Elk River, and Maple Grove, and then the most recent loss, Champlain Park. They are coming off a win over Robbinsdale Armstrong, and it doesn't get much easier for Blaine. They get Rogers on Tuesday. Rogers moved into the top 10 in the most recent Class 4A poll. And then Blaine will make the trek next Saturday to Cambridge-Isanti. With the starters introduced, let's recap them for you. For Blaine, the visitors, it's Allison Terry, number 3, Jade Bryant, number 5, Molly Garber, number 23, Marina Lafreniere, number 40, and Ava Maeglin, number 55. Centennial will start their usual 5, Sydney Cubes, number 5, Haley Mulberry, number 15, Camille Cummings, number 23, Autumn McCall, number 24, and Marissa Frost, number 34. And speaking with head coach Jamie Sobolik of Centennial, he said, we're at the point of the season where we'll take wins any way we can get. Blythe, you were on hand to see their victory over Spring Lake Park. It was an ugly one as far as the score was concerned, but they found a way to get it done. How can Centennial use that performance to carry over into tonight?
Yeah, I think sometimes when you have a performance like that, you just need that practice to regroup, really get on the same page with each other. Nobody probably thought that game was overly fun to play. When you know what I mean? When you have those games that are really exciting, you have the gym that's helping fill that energy. And that was something that Coach Sobolik told me. He's like, it was a Wednesday night, and it felt like it. There wasn't as many people here in the stands to help cheer them and get them excited. Even the bench needed to get involved.
Well, Centennial off to a quick start on this Friday night. Camille Cummings knocks down the elbow J.
And that was one of the players that we said was such an impact for the Cougars this season, and she started right out of the gates to show that.
She had 7 straight games with 20 points or more. Hasn't reached the 20-point mark in some time, but hasn't needed to with the help she's getting from youngsters like McCall.
And that can often happen. You have a player that everyone starts to hone in on. They're trying to defend her, maybe even putting double teams on her. And that's going to open up some of her teammates to help spread out that scoring.
Jump ball, and the possession arrow favors the Bengals. We're covering both games, as we usually do with these cat clashes with Blaine and Centennial. A little bit of trouble for the Bengals, but Allison Terry will reset. Ava Maeglin getting the start this evening, and a foul inside. That will go against Mulberry.
And what's interesting, too, Coach Sobolik was telling me before the game was that's one of the things that they don't want to get in is foul trouble. Last game, we talked about it. It was an impact. They sent the Bengals to the line too much. They didn't execute from the line, so it lucked out for the Cougars. But if they do execute on those free throws tonight, they don't want to give that position to do so.
Cummings. That's a traveling call on Cubes. On the other end, Molly Garber hit the turnaround hook shot for the Bengals, and free throws are going to play a factor potentially. Blaine was 13 of 26 in the first meeting, Centennial 8 of 10. So Blaine got to the line a lot, but they left a lot of points at the line. The final score, 66-61. When it's that close and you miss a lot of freebies, it sticks out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know any coach that could come out of that game and not make their team at practice for the next few days just shooting free throws to make sure that they get that back ingrained in them. It's the importance.
One of my broadcast colleagues, Latoya Turk, who has done some games with me, well, I'll get to that in a moment because we have a high-low play for Blaine. Haley Mulberry gets the rebound. Latoya, when she was a coach, would drill into her athletes about free throw shooting, and they would look at scouting reports to see who's the player we should target. Blaine trying to target a fast break score, but they can't get the finish. And there is Autumn McCall, the freshman, with the rebound.
Yeah, you talked about leaving some points. Yeah, free throws are those freebies, but those layups are too. And we just saw that Blaine leaving some points off the board, I guess.
Blaine missing a couple of bunnies. It's 2-2 early. And Marissa Frost just threw it up there and got the floater to drop.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to give it a chance. Get the ball up there. It'll be interesting, too, to see which team kind of starts to get rolling. This one's still so tight. In basketball, you see those runs sometimes and how they're going to be able to execute going against that.
Lafreniere couldn't hook up with Jade Bryant, and Blaine turns it over. You may have noticed this, but over winter break, in preparation for the impending rule change, Centennial has installed a shot clock.
Yeah, true.
Marissa Frost drives in and gets the layup. The shot clock will come into play in the 2023-24 season. Centennial with the early 6-2 lead.
Something that's interesting about the Blaine Bengals, typically a second half team. You see them have those slower starts, but the second half is usually when they start to pick it up, feel their groove. And Coach Bruce Doohan was asking me if I had any advice, how they could get out of having that be the case, because it seems like a lot of games that has been the truth of it.
What advice did you offer?
For me, I took it as a rhetorical question. I didn't answer it, but yeah, I think for myself, like just thinking about it, it really just depends. What does the team need before the game? Sometimes they need to be really hyped up to start a game, and sometimes they need to does your team need to relax and just kind of get focused on the game? So trying to find out what are things that work to help your team already feel ready when they hit the court.
Traveling call, Autumn McCall. She shuffled her feet trying to get the pass off, and perhaps he was aware of your athletic background at Northwestern, if I'm correct.
Bethel. Yeah. Close.
Bethel.
Right next door.
Oh, that could be a sore spot.
Yeah.
I may not be welcome in Narn Hills.
Uh-oh.
Bethel, the Royals.
Yes. That's funny. But I think, too, like for me, sometimes teams, that means like they need to be even doing, nice steal.
Neil Cummings times the pass. Although Allison Terry was in there for the disruption. Cubes trying to go baseline, threads the needle. Cummings blocked by Ava Meglin. As soon as I said Northwestern Blythe, my memory said, no, you dummy, it's Bethel.
I was like, as it's coming out of your mouth. No, take this back. That's funny.
Jade Bryant launches the three. Bullseye.
And that is what Coach Subwick said. He doesn't want to allow her to get started to feel that confidence. And now she has put one through the net. Swoosh, already early.
Centennial says right back at you. Haley Mulberry drops the corner three. Jade Bryant shooting 41% from three-point range.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch her over the years. Definitely having that impact, sinking quite a few.
Dead ball rebound to Centennial.
What I was going to say earlier is some teams, I remember even just for myself, you almost need to scrimmage yourself. You sometimes will see that right before a game, a team will just put 5v5 out there because of that, thinking of getting you in a game-like situation. To have your blood pumping, already moving, it's like, yes, you can shoot around and get warmed up, but what does that look like to already be in the motion offense and running through it?
Jade Bryant hasn't decided on a college yet, but she is getting some offers from MIAC schools. Steps into another three off the screen. Cummings, the rebound was ripped away. Molly Garber draws the foul and will shoot two. Molly Garber, Northwest Suburban All-Conference honoree last season, receiving considerable attention in basketball and academics. Intelligent and well-rounded. Coach Bruce Doohan, that's what he thinks of Molly Garber, the junior.
Yeah, 67% free throw shooter, making the first, so let's see if she can go 2 for 2.
And she does. Remember, Blaine was 13 of 26 in their first meeting with Centennial in a game they lost by 5, so that is a stat we will likely monitor, especially if this one is close. 9-7 in favor of the Cougars. Cummings pulls up, but her jumper goes off the back iron. McCall rebound off balance. Nowhere to go there.
You hear Coach Bruce doing vocal, helping his team get set up in this offense.
Lafreniere tried the fake. Centennial didn't fall for it. And a double dribble call on the Cougars. Centennial getting caught with some unforced errors here.
That sometimes can happen these early minutes. You need to relax, just kind of settle in, play how you're used to playing, and the Cougars definitely don't need to be stressed. Even though this game is tight right now, they play better when they're relaxed.
Going back to what Sobolik was saying about McCall, giving her some JV time so that she didn't put as much pressure on herself as she did in the early part of the season. And it wouldn't be a surprise as Centennial is fouled. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few nerves between these two teams beforehand. If you go by the QRF rankings, Blaine and Centennial are neck and neck. Blaine has the edge by 5.8 points. Of course, 4A sections are seeded by coaches, not by QRF, but that illustrates just what is at stake as Grace Pullman knocks down the baseline jumper. So the winner will likely take over the top spot. And here is number 50, Danielle Davis. Traveling call on Blaine as number 4, Annika Schloman, was in a vulnerable position.
One of the players that really stepped up in the Cougars' last game was Littlefield out there, number 11 for the Cougars, and so it's nice to see her getting some minutes this season and having an impact, the junior.
Marissa Frost tried to drain the reverse, couldn't do so. Blaine with numbers. This is Garber over to Terry. 3 from the top of the key. Schloman couldn't get it, and Terry draws the foul after collecting the offensive rebound. 10-17 left in the first half. Cougars lead the Bengals 11-7.
Yeah, what's good about this, score still very close, anyone's game.
Turn around for Garber, can't get the bounce. Littlefield over to Cummings. That's a little misdirection. Fires the skip, cubes for 3. Off the rim. Rebound picked up by Maddie Bryant. And she'll speed past her coverage, but couldn't finish the layup. That's another missed bunny.
But the second chance opportunity, at least the Bengals worked hard to get it back.
Centennial with the arrow.
Like you said, we probably could have a tally start going for these missed bunnies, just thinking of how important that can be down the stretch when this one stays close.
You and I were talking about free throws being the metric. Right now it's the missed layups from short range, but speaking of free throws, Molly Garber goes back to the line. She made her last 2. Garber on the season, averaging 12.5 points per game. This Blaine team, they're not going to blow you out with their offensive production. No one has scored more than 21 in a game, but they bring a balanced group.
And that's what sometimes can signal just a really solid team is when you have multiple players contributing, and it's not just that single person that if they're off that night, then you're for sure not going to win.
And another traveling call on Centennial. Blythe, we're seeing two trends almost cancel each other out. Blaine struggling to finish down low, and Centennial committing several unforced errors. A lot of traveling calls.
Yeah, those turnovers, just getting the possession back right to the Bengals.
Quick little give and go, but Jay Bryan couldn't get the shot to drop. 3 on the way. That's off the mark, and another rebound for McCall.
I like, though, that Terry's firing, just trying to get something going. You need to take shots to have something fall, and I think Terry can start to take some of those, open up, and get some confidence. She's able to sink some here.
Frost tried to thread the needle. It was deflected by Lafreniere and off of Centennial, so Lafreniere getting the stop.
Yeah, and Coach Sobelek just talking about the length and the defense there of the Bengals and how tough they are to play against because of that.
And Centennial returns the favor. Autumn McCall on Allison Terry, forcing the turnover there. Frost wins the scrum. Littlefield through her coverage and in.
Yeah, like I said, it's been fun to see that transition even from yesterday or a couple days ago. Getting to see them play against Spring Lake Park and Littlefield. Getting some buckets for them in that second half.
Lafreniere drops the jumper from the baseline.
She came up big time in a play like this. Surprise, nothing called either way. Sometimes that contact is where the whistle comes, but Lafreniere was plays, tight defense.
Grace Bowman against Lafreniere. Hauled in the high-low pass. What a move to score the layup. Terry draws the foul and will shoot 2. Allison Terry did not have the best of performances from the free throw line in the first meeting, just 3 of 8. She did drop 4 triples. And she drops the first one.
Yeah, she is a 70% free throw shooter on the season. But you see players sometimes just have games where they just, it wasn't their game from the free throw line. Maybe it's mental, and it can get in your head if you miss a couple.
Well, Blaine off to a much better start in free throw shooting than the first meeting. 5 of 6 already. They're not the sexiest way to score, but they can help rack up the score.
Yeah, it's like the bank shot when it's going in. It's like, you didn't go bank, but it still went in, so.
Casey Littlefield's baseline jumper went in. And Littlefield has 4 points. Doesn't score a lot, about 5 points per game. But as you noted, Blythe, well, hang on, we've got a quick shot from Blaine. But Blythe, as you were noting, Littlefield is making some clutch plays as of late.
Yeah, it's nice when you see a coach like Coach Sobelek noticing that and seeing that in a player, and now seeing some more playing time from her. And potentially, who knows, in a game like today, she could be getting one of those top scoring games for her just for even the amount of time and impact that she's gaining that confidence.
Millie Mulberry was doubled, draws the foul on Lafreniere. And remember, this Centennial team undergoing significant turnover from last year's team that reached the semifinal round in the Class 4A state championship, losing a close one with Rosemount. Centennial has a fair share of history when it comes to girls basketball. No state titles, but they have fielded multiple state tournament teams.
See this zone that the Bengals are in, the Cougars are going to have to respond.
Ball tries the three-pointer. The rebound was tipped to Littlefield. A quick triangle set, side fade, Cubes for three, bullseye.
That's exactly how you beat the 2-3 zone. You have to hit those outside shots, and if players like Cubes can start to do that, they're going to have to break down and go back to man-to-man.
The Cougars building an 8-point lead. Blaine trying to drive it inside once more. Dead ball rebound to Blaine. The official was signaling Blaine, and I thought he corrected himself for a second. Just wanted to be sure. Here's Schloman. And Jade Bryant back on the floor for the Bengals. Schloman off the screen, but she had nowhere to go, and it's the traveling violation. 5:47 left in the first half. Centennial slowly padding their lead. But as you said, Blaine can turn things around in the second half.
Yeah, Jade Bryant, she had 13 points in that first matchup between these two teams this year, and that's something she's sitting at 3 points now. So will that mean she really picks it up in the second half, or she still has 5.5 minutes to do that here in the first half, get some more on the board?
Deep three for Cubes. Airballs it, but Frost gets another chance for the Cougars, and now Lafreniere gets the rebound.
Yeah, you got to have those players that at least are going in for the rebound, getting it for you to allow that second chance opportunity. The Cougars didn't get it to fall this time, but that mentality, and if they can keep that up, they're going to have some shots fall by getting that extra chance.
A couple of clutch moves on the part of Jade Bryant, but her 15-footer misses rim. Officials have a discussion and change the ruling. It was initially Centennial ball, but Blaine will hang on to it. A foul on Lafreniere. That is her second. She'll go out. Danielle Davis will go in.
Yeah, still a lot of time on the clock. Don't want her to get her third before the second half. But Bengals back to man-to-man.
Marissa Frost dances around her coverage and goes in for two. Blaine looking for some semblance of fluidity. Centennial almost gets the steal. We're going to have a tie-up. Centennial with the arrow. Blythe, we're just not seeing a lot of cohesiveness out of Blaine in their offensive sets.
Yeah, it's been difficult for them to really get started. And as we talked about for I'm sure their whole team and Coach Bruce doing, hoping that second half, they're going to see that turnaround if they can't quite get there before this first half is over. Still 4 minutes, a little over 4 minutes to do that. But kind of looks like maybe they need that regrouping halftime talk to hopefully get things rolling.
Three ball, corner pocket. Marissa Frost up to 9. The problem, Blythe, is Blaine can't afford to wait until the second half. They're trailing by 13. Certainly not insurmountable, but Centennial on a slow but steady run. Jade Bryant could change that in a hurry, and she will with the left wing three. Timeout, Chris Bruce-Stewart and Blaine. Bengals get a much-needed bucket. 25-15, 3:47 to go in the first half.
Yeah, I think that bucket was huge for Bryant, just adding a second three-pointer to her confidence and her mindset here today. She's someone that when she can start to get on a roll, she's going to continue that. And when she just was sitting at that 1-3, it's tough to really feel that confidence. And so now she has 2 under her belt, and we'll see if that helps the Bengals creep closer here before halftime.
25-15 the score, and a reminder that every Monday night you can catch up on all the highlights and stories with our trio of Cat teams, the Panthers, the Bengals, and the Cougars. on Sports Den every Monday night on North Metro TV.
Yeah, it's always interesting when it comes this time of year. We're getting right before some of the playoffs. Hockey is going to start not too distant future. And
girls hockey starts next week.
So it's kind of that crazy time when we start to get a lot of anticipation. I mean, we're talking about these two teams trying to get in that good position heading into sections, and we start to think that way when we're in that later part of the season of how you're going to make sure you're ready come playoffs.
Extra pass for Centennial. Got them the result they wanted. Cougars staying with it. That's number 41, KJ Tharp, who Jamie Sobolik had plenty of nice things to say about when I spoke to him before the game. Blaine looking for another long distance bomb. They'll get a side out here with 3:16 to go.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of those layups for the Bengals not falling, and now we've seen a few from the Cougars do the same, get in that area where it should be, hopefully, that bunny shot going in.
They almost got a three-point rabbit instead, but it rimmed out. Cubes.
Yeah, I like that. She didn't overly think about that, and sometimes that's the best. Catch it in rhythm and put it up.
Cubes collects the rebound. Some coaches and players will tell you this, you'll never be more open than when you first receive a pass. In other words, that is the best time to shoot. Schloman almost read the route, couldn't control the ball in time.
I think plays like that, at least, even if you didn't get the possession, you've put something in the back of the minds of the Cougars of just that you're right there, you're ready to get your hand in it and make it more difficult for them the next time they're about to get the handoff.
Littlefield, her baseline shot went off the backboard. Stepping into the long two was Davis. That is off the mark.
We talked a little bit about the Cougars in that last outing versus Spring Lake Park, and that was where some of the challenging and shooting came about. We saw a low-scoring game during that, and it seemed like tonight we've seen just some shooting just further off the mark than normal for these teams.
Offensive rebound went to Frost. Cubes will get another chance. Coming up a bit strong there. Garber no good. AJ Tharp with the rebound. Cubes for three. Tharp gets the ball. Frost spin move. Centennial encountering some peaks and valleys as far as their shooting goes.
Yeah, lucky for them, they've seen that happen for the Bengals as well.
Jade Bryant hustling her way to the ball. She'll get free throws out of it. Bryant with a pair of triples. A tough kid that plays really good defense. Also an outstanding softball player.
64% free throw shooter on the season. And we've already seen such an improvement for all the Bengals who have taken free throws tonight.
Those free throws are helping them stay in it. In a game whose pace is similar to Wednesday as far as Centennial's concerned.
Yeah, it's tough when you see some of those trends that you didn't like about that game prior continue into a game following.
Sobolik did note that Centennial can sometimes settle into a trigger-happy stance from three-point range. he also said, as the Cougars call a timeout, you'll take wins any way you can get them, whether it's by 5, 50, and ugly, or pretty.
But now just 42 seconds left on the clock for these teams before they head to halftime. The score just 10 points separating them. And I think for the Bengals, they're going to feel pretty good if they make it to halftime with that type of a spread. Yes, they're down by a little, but it's nothing, like you said earlier, that they can't come back from. And especially being a second half team, they still have the confidence knowing, hey, we can come back from this. We've been down in games, and it doesn't mean that we lose those games. We've been able to find that spark and push through. But for Centennial, they're just going to have to keep talking to each other, and they'll have to keep shooting even though they're off the mark, but maybe working it around, trying to find some easier spots to take those shots and hope they're going to start falling.
Another big test for Centennial comes on Tuesday with their second meeting against Andover. That is another game Sobolik circled because they also are in the same section. Now Andover, maybe not a serious threat for the 1 seed, but still a win you'd like to have to secure it.
Definitely.
3 ball. Coleman can't get it to fall. Garber speeds her way down court and lays it in.
Yeah, I feel like the Bengals haven't done a whole lot of that.
Backcourt violation. Centennial, we saw them stumble a bit against Blaine's full court press. So the Bengals get another stop, and they can roar into halftime with a boost in morale. Bryant tried to drive, nowhere to go.
Yeah, this one's tough for the Bengals, giving the ball back, allowing the Cougars to have an opportunity to add to their score before halftime.
Blaine has other ideas. Maitland with the steal. They still have time. Schloman from the corner. That would have been a bucket Blaine would have loved to have. They do get a couple of stops defensively, though, but Centennial holds a 27-19 lead going into the break.
Yeah, it was just important, I think, that at least they stopped Centennial. They didn't give Centennial that look, so a good steal right before half.
But Blaine has some work to do if they want to force a split and keep that inside track to the 1 seed in Section 7-4A. Blythe and I will be back to recap the first half when we return. This is high school girls basketball on North Metro TV. Northwest Suburban Conference clash of cats, felines, however you wish to describe it.
All the cats.
All the cats, except the musical. Well, or I should say the film based on the musical. We don't talk about that. Second half about to start between Blaine and Centennial. High school girls basketball live on North Metro TV. Mike Peden and Blythe Whaley with you. And the Bengals looking to erase an 8-point deficit. Doing well from the free throw line, but struggling with points in the paint, missing a lot of bunnies. And again, the bench scoring, Centennial with an 8-0 advantage. The margin is 8. Make what you will of that.
Yeah, it's going to be how can you respond in this second half?
And when Camille Cummings steps into a jumper, that's just her second one, but she's looked pretty smooth out there.
Yeah, and there's times where you think about it, she scored the first point in the first half for the Cougars, and now comes out in the second half, does the same, trying to help them just get that confidence to get things rolling.
She gets down on the ground for the steal, touchdown pass, Cubes, beats Bryant.
Seems like halftime worked for the Cougars, just kind of getting on the same page, and again, thinking about what the Cougars do best, and that's transition basketball, and you just saw that there, forcing that ball up the court.
Blaine started 9-0, 4-5 since then. Centennial on the run. Cummings with the finish in transition. A quick 6-point burst for the Cougars. Timeout Blaine. Blythe Centennial looking a lot more cohesive than they did in the first half.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I've watched Cougar basketball for so long, and that's what they do best is really when they can get up and they can run. They use those quick transitions, they use their speed, and that's what's working for them. And today, that's what they needed to do. Second half, they respond, and they start off exactly like they want to here. And
Centennial having a rough start to their season. We've noted that before. They've won 8 of their last 9, but some of the teams they faced in the early part of the season include Eden Prairie, Stillwater, Eastridge, Roseville, all solid teams. Rogers having a terrific season with Clara Glad and Ellie Bazell. They were up big against Edina, couldn't hang on in that one. And Lakeville North, a team to watch down the road. They've got some great youngsters. Jump ball, Camille Cummings is everywhere, contributing on offense and making a couple of stops defensively.
yeah, and those are the players that you need on your team that really just hone in on both sides of the court. They're not just going to try to score for you. They're going to also try to make sure you're getting the ball back.
Lafreniere with a huge burst of speed. She'll shoot 2.
Yeah, I'd say she's one of those players that the Bengals have that she is working really hard on defense. You see her getting in those passing lanes, making sure she's looking to force those errors, but now you see her get up the court also and get fouled to go to the line.
Moved up from the JV roster after playing 2 years there. And is in love with the weight room, so conditioning a vital element to her repertoire.
Yeah, it's only going to help, whether that's also in speed. You see how much it can affect players that do well in the weight room.
Blaine brings the pressure, but you saw Allison Terry. That's going to be a foul on the Bengals. I don't know if you caught this, but Allison Terry bobbled her grip just a little bit, and that was enough to mess up her rhythm trying to go for that layup.
What did you say? Sorry. Say it one more. I don't know.
Well, Blaine
you
got
said she bobbled it?
She bobbled it.
Okay,
or it
that
looked
was
like,
the word.
right.
I was like, what did you
bobbled
do?
it? You bobbled it.
Bobbled.
I hope you were thinking of some naughty word.
No, no. I don't even know what I thought.
You were thinking of the old game Bubble Bobble, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly. Or boggle. Is that a?
Boggle is a game. Lafreniere trying to pull off a mind-boggling move. Can't do so, but Jade Bryant gets a 3. That goes off the iron. Another offensive rebound for Allison Terry. Attracting those boards in this possession.
Yeah, even if the Bengals don't come out with a bucket on this possession, they've had so many opportunities, but they will at least get to go to the line. Molly Garber taking it to the hole.
And the free throw line is a spot where Blaine has thrived thus far. 9 of 10 from the free throw line. Molly Garber, the only miss so far. Remind me not to bring up free throw stats again.
Well, that's what's interesting is you'd almost think in the last game against these two, that matchup when they struggled up from the free throw line, it would be, we wouldn't want them to go there. Any Bengal fan, they'd be like, we don't want to go to the free throw line. We want them just to make that bucket. Where tonight, besides these two, they had been doing quite well from the free throw line, so they would have wanted to continue to get those chances.
Garber running into some headwinds, though, missing the last 3 free throws. Cummings pulls up. Switch.
Yeah, it's fun to see when players, had a colder or just not even, she didn't really get opportunities in that first half. And now getting those opportunities and making them count. Camille Cummings has made that big, huge comeback here in the second half.
Another jumper, you bet. Camille Cummings is in sync, and nothing will knock her out of it.
Sometimes, too, teams that come into a game and they're really focused on a player who's typically scoring for the other team. They're so focused on not allowing her to get buckets, and now she didn't really shoot too much in that first half. that wasn't probably a priority. Lafreniere, great layup for the Bengals. But it wasn't a priority for the Bengals, I'm sure, at halftime to talk about, hey, let's make sure we're doing well against Camille Cummings. They had so many other priorities that they needed to focus on, but now this.
Cummings will shoot 2. To your point, Blythe, you saw a similar approach for Centennial. They weren't trying to force it into Cummings. They were getting production elsewhere from Frost, Littlefield, Pullman, so no real sense of urgency as far as feeding it to Cummings, where they're jittery, they're in a panic, so it might be a surprise to see Cummings blossom like she is in the second half, but when the rest of the team steps up, that can open up some opportunities for you.
Yeah, that's so true. They didn't have to hone in on her. They needed to focus on those other players.
That was Centennial's first trip to the free throw line. Cummings with the split, but the Cougars elongating their advantage. They lead 38-23 with 13:50 to go. A win here, and they'll likely secure the inside track to the 1 seed. Lafreniere pulls up and knocks down the 15-footer.
Yeah, you like to see her shoot that with authority. She's a little ways out, but knowing she can make that sink.
High-low, a hesitation move before KJ Tharp puts it in. Lafreniere trying to power her way inside. KJ Tharp puts up the block. Cummings for 3. Rebound, and free throws coming for KJ Tharp.
Now, when you have players like Camille Cummings, you give them that wide open, pull the trigger. You're going to take those shots from 3, but you need to have players like KJ Tharp just did under the hoop, that if she does miss it, you're still going to get that opportunity to head to the free throw line. So this, ultimately, Camille Cummings putting that shot up and not making it is still going to help the Cougars out if they can sink one here from the line.
Here's a stat line that Tharp, I imagine, would like to correct either this season or next year. Entering this game, just 1 of 9 from the free throw line.
Yeah, definitely. It's sometimes a stat that can be in your head, and it makes it more of a mental battle from the free throw line. She knows she can make them. I'm sure she does in practice. Sometimes when you get in that game situation and now you know you have that stat against you, it's hard to sink it.
Now she's 1 of 11, and on the other end, Molly Garber finds the pot of gold on that rainbow 3.
Yeah, Molly Garber is one of those great players for the Bengals that steps up in moments when they need it. You see her drive and go hard to the hole, but she also can sink those long-range shots like you just saw.
Centennial leading by 12. They'll hang on to it. They tried to go to Cummings on the inbound. Blaine with the deflection. And Jade Bryant goes back to the free throw line. She knocked down her last 2. Shooting 64%.
It's only going to help that percentage if she keeps sinking those. And for that points per game average coming into today, 13.5. She's already at 9, so still 12 minutes, 30 seconds to add to that.
Splits, but Danielle Davis in the right place at the right time. Jade Bryant. Blaine could have used that 3.
I was thinking that too. How nice it would have been for the Bengals. They would have been very glad if Jade Bryant was able to put that through for them.
Instead, a potential opportunity for the Cougars. They still lead by 11. Led by as much as 15. Tough shot. And KJ Tharp, she may not have a lot of points, but Her ability to maneuver in the paint, get those rebounds, a boon for the Cougars.
Yeah, and we saw it on that last play. If you have players, I mean, Cubes puts it up from 3, Cummings, but if you can have players like KJ Tharp under the hoop, that when that ball isn't sliding through the net, that she's able to find some of those to put it back for a second chance opportunity.
Blaine got the steal. They'll hang on to it with 11:40 to go.
Something too about that last one, that's Mulberry up there trying to poke the ball away, and sometimes, you know, you don't get the call, but oftentimes I see it just so far away from the hoop, players are getting called with just a ticky-tack foul that you really didn't need to give, and luckily for her, nothing happened on that one, but sometimes kind of backing off and at least giving them that space to not foul that far away from the hoop.
Centennial with the rock. Cummings momentarily thought about a 3, tries the spin move instead, pulls up again. Had a couple of chances, couldn't finish. Blaine getting some opportunities here. And just can't put the ball in the hoop.
Still quite a bit of time. You see Centennial set up in their offense. And they're really taking time with this possession.
KJ Tharp unable to connect on the turnaround.
And like we've seen, they do quite well on transition. In the last couple possessions, Centennial slowing it down and really taking their time on offense.
Danielle Davis draws the foul, and stop me if you've heard this before, another trip to the free throw line. And among Blaine's primary players, Maitland getting the start for Davis tonight, but all of them entering this game shooting in the 60s or better. So Blaine, I think they'd like to have some more pinpoint shooters at the free throw line, but you don't necessarily have a weak spot. All of them can knock down free throws. Just like the last game, Blaine getting a lot of trips to the line. They've had a couple of splits. So they are slowly inching closer to Centennial, but Blaine doesn't want to move by inches. They'd like to move a few feet.
Yeah, and especially now we're getting closer and closer to the end of this game.
Maybe a mile or two. Cross-court pass intercepted by Garber. Macy Littlefield getting the deflection on the drive. Tipped pass, but Garber able to corral it. Goes up and in.
Yeah, that's one of the players I love watching, her athleticism, just her willingness to take that to the hole, go up against a couple players, but still sink it.
And that bucket was pure athleticism. Little room for error. 3 on the way. Centennial with the triple. Marissa Frost.
Yeah, nice evening from Frost from Rain. She's hit a few threes now and got her points up to 12 on the evening.
Frost warming up, 12 points. Blaine with the answer, a little long. Garber gets the rebound and draws another foul. Yeah, coming into today, Marissa Frost had only 5 3-pointers on the season, so she's had a few more tonight to add to that. Cube staying on Jade Bryant. Well aware of her 3-point tendencies. Garber on a little give and go. Too strong. Centennial looking for the extra pass there. A kickball is called on the Bengals, but that does prevent a fast break look. Centennial will have to settle for the side out. The touch shot, and Sydney Cubes drains it.
Yeah, they did a good job keeping their vision open, finding Cubes pretty open there in the lane to put that short jumper in.
(45-32), Centennial maintaining their cushion over their Northwest Suburban Conference rival. Blaine will call a timeout, 8:27 to go. Blythe, still some time here, but when you examine the trajectory for Centennial, you consider the narratives. Before the season started, there was a sense that this section was a favorable one for Centennial because they would go out of 5, where you had Maple Grove, Roseville, Spring Lake Park picking up some big wins. Section 7 considered to be less competitive, less of a challenge, but the Cougars go off on a slow start, Blaine on a hot start, and you start to wonder what is going on here. But Centennial's course is a reminder of how long a 26-game season is and how you have to weather everything that comes your way, good, bad, and different.
Yeah, and we talk about this too, it's just those really tough teams that the Cougars went up against early on in their season. So as we look at those records for those few games at the beginning of their season, it's hard to match them up and say they're apples to apples. So it's interesting though, because I definitely think that momentum can help breed itself. And even when you're going on that negative momentum, sometimes you lose a few games, it's easy to start kind of sliding and losing a few more, where when you had the Bengals off to that amazing start that they had, now you start to break down some of that confidence when you do find a couple of those losses and knocks throughout the stretch.
There was a time when Centennial was nowhere near in contention for that 1 seed in Section 7. And here they are in prime position to establish themselves as the favorites to get out of the group. Now Section 7, historically one of the weaker groups in girls basketball. Also one of the more unpredictable ones. We've seen teams like Cambridge Isani, Forest Lake get out of there. Centennial with that history, getting all the way to the championship round in 2009. Hoping to say something about it. But should they get Blaine or Andover in section play, and that's a real possibility, we know how tough it is in that third matchup.
Yeah, these ladies doing everything they can in practices, getting ready for those moments. Littlefield calling her own number and getting it in the lane. That was beautiful.
Hits the jumper in stride, and to me, that is a microcosm of this game. Centennial getting far more of those plays to go in their favor. McCall with the steal, and she's fouled. Blaine unable to find their rhythm in terms of shot selection.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I'll probably say it a million more times. Just Centennial, they were so good when they're transitioning up the court, and when they really hone in on that strength of theirs, you see those buckets start to go in, and so many of them do. And we saw that at the start of the second half, and now we just saw that there with that last bucket with Littlefield coming up the court quickly and taking that. It's tough for the defense to get set, and we talked about how good of a defense Blaine is. And we see that play there, Lafreniere getting the charge. They're so good at defense that when Centennial is using that to their advantage, doing the transition, Blaine isn't set in their defense that they usually are putting on them.
That is the last foul to give for Centennial. But Blaine needs to find a way to make buckets. And they have come few and far between. Garber hoping to change that. Leaves that runner soft. And Lafreniere hit with the foul. That will be her fourth.
See, and those are kind of similar ones that I'm talking about. When you're so far away from the hoop, sometimes you do want to get that extra hand in there trying to make something happen. You see it work sometimes, players getting the ball back and an opportunity to go in for the lay-in. But oftentimes you're seeing this also where you get a foul so far away from the hole, and that's tough, especially on a player like Lafreniere. They need her in the game.
Cubes surveying the field, and Autumn McCall leans around Davis.
Such a great feed, Cubes. Again, the vision to bounce that one in there to make sure she's not having the Bengals' hands in the way.
That was her first field goal, but she's called for the foul. That is her fourth. And with both teams out of fouls to give, that means free throws. Centennial up big, but this is the one area where Blaine could make a move. Davis had 6 points in the first meeting. Empty possession for the Bengals, 6:12 to go.
Yeah, you talked about the first meeting, and Terry had 15 points, where currently she's just sitting at 2, so a lot different game for her tonight as well.
Conversely, Molly Garber held to 3 points on 1 triple in the first meeting. She's got 12, but you're right, not a lot of production elsewhere, but the problem is Blaine is having a tough time finding the bucket, finding the net. Jay Bryant finds it there on that 3-pointer. Blaine needs a little more of that as they trail by 14 with 5.5 to play. Marissa Frost. Zooms her way in for 2 more.
Yeah, how awesome for her, finding her stride really today, just sinking some early in that first half and continuing that throughout the game, seeing some production from her in the second half.
Another 3 for Blaine, not that time. Frost scored 13 in the first meeting with the Bengals. And Frost, a sophomore, she and McCall, a pair of faces. An illegal screen called in Centennial. I was going to say Frost and McCall could be 2 names to watch in the coming years for Centennial.
Yeah, it's always nice to have players that are already doing so great for their teams, and they still have a few years left in them, so you know they're going to have even more production in the years to come.
Another 3, you bet. Jade Bryant feeling it now. Sizzling from the perimeter. And Blaine will take every bucket they can get at this point. Centennial on the run. Maddie Bryant grabs the rebound there. Garber.
Big hustle play there from Garber, just about able to call the timeout, but didn't have possession there.
Jump ball, Blaine with the arrow. Garber, she has 12 points, but she has had to sweat for every one of them. A little
But it's huge.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, it's huge. The Bengals, they come out, they have that last bucket by Jade. And then they go get the stop on the defensive end, because that's going to be huge. If they can keep getting stops to allow themselves to try to convert on the offense, they're going to be able to creep back in and at least get this game a lot closer.
I was going to say, it is a little strange to see Jay Bryant looking smooth as silk out there with her 3-pointers, and Molly Garber having to grind her way for every single point. She splits at the line, and Blaine struggling a bit in the second half. Camille Cummings steps into the mid-range J. That doesn't fall, so the Bengals with an opening here. Bryant trying to bait her defender on the three. Sees a lane, kicks back out. No need to panic yet, but you also don't want to be too methodical with time winding down.
That's what I was just thinking. You're gonna.
Dead ball rebound to Centennial, 3:28 to go.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. You can't sit on offense, be too relaxed. You do have to be somewhat relaxed, but you also have to make sure that you're still moving that ball, getting those openings, and taking the shots, because you don't want the time to wind down when you're just still trying to find that perfect shot.
Frost on the pump fake. Centennial, nice set. It ends with a Camille Cummings jumper.
Yeah, I think Centennial did a great job working the ball around and then ended up finding Camille Cummings, one of their top shooters, wide open to take that J.
Coaches will often tell you in basketball you can move the ball more quickly on a pass than a dribble, and Centennial exhibited that on the last possession.
Yeah, I think you start to realize that when players and teams, you get older. An unfortunate turnover there. Definitely don't want to give the Bengals any shot, so giving them the possession wasn't ideal, because Cougars probably just wanting to start winding this clock down.
They still lead by 14. And Blaine hasn't put together a string of plays, and that won't help. They've had some moments, some quick flashes, but in basketball, they say it's a game of runs. Centennial got one to start the second half, and they haven't been threatened since. Allison Terry showing off her range on that triple.
Yeah, we haven't seen her take too many either.
Just over 2 minutes to go.
Being that player who had a big impact in that game that they just lost by 5, and now not taking too many, takes one there and makes it. Makes you wonder if she should have been taking a few more of those throughout the stretch.
Frost was looking to drop the dagger. It didn't fall. Here's Lafreniere. Too strong on the slash.
I like the idea, though. We saw in that other possession how long it took the Bengals to get a shot off. Lafreniere thought she could do it, take it to the hole.
And she has done it before.
Oh, definitely, over and over again. But yeah, at least she has that confidence to put it up there for the Bengals, even though it didn't fall that time.
Centennial playing keep away. Jay Bryant takes the ball away and scores.
Great hesitation by Bryant, making sure that she was squared up to take it and not just rush it, because of course we've seen players rush it throughout tonight and miss those easy lay-ins, but that was a big one for the Bengals to make sure that they give themselves any bit of chance they can.
1:17 left though, so Blaine will need a few more things to go their way, and we referenced the installation of the shot clock in preparation for the impending arrival of shot clock basketball to high school in Minnesota. And Jamie had said where you'll see it make a difference is in this very scenario where the Cougars, as you saw, trying to play keep away, and I imagine they'll do more of that coming out of the timeout. In a couple of seasons, that won't be the case.
Yeah, and especially because you look at right now, the Bengals 6 fouls, excuse me. So this next foul that they give will be a 1-and-1 opportunity, which can work in their favor also to get the ball back. They need it kind of to be at that margin that they'll have the opportunity to put them to the line.
Well, looking at the players on the floor for Centennial, you've got some solid free throw shooters. Autumn McCall, the best one at 81.5, but Frost close to 70, Cummings at 62, so you could get the math to work in your favor. As Blaine trying to force the 10-second call. They do get Centennial off balance. Bryant, yes! But a player's down.
You got to look at just still the time. There's still a full minute on the clock. Not too many seconds ticked off in this last possession that the Bengals were able to score.
Haley Mulberry, the injured player, being examined by the athletic trainer, and
not sure, but I feel like if I remember correctly, she's one of those players that has had a few ankle injuries throughout her career. I could be wrong, so I don't want to say it definitively, but definitely looks like might be dealing with that now.
Needed some assistance walking off the court. A couple of her teammates went over. You didn't see a whole lot of concern from Centennial. Of course, you certainly don't want a serious injury. We've seen plenty of that throughout 4A. Minnetonka losing Keani Lockett to an ACL tear a couple weeks ago. There's a quick foul from Allison Terry. Marissa Frost shooting close to 70%. One and one, so if she misses the front end, Blaine will still have a chance. Lafreniere going back in, defense to offense substitution. Lafreniere with 4 fouls, of course. Frost missing the front end.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on that shot, just making sure that they kept that lead.
Off of Lafreniere. Sloman. It looked like she wasn't quite set on that three-pointer. The release was a little awkward, at least from my vantage point.
Yeah, now again, the Cougars just going to have to really make sure they hold for possession. They know the Bengals are probably going to try to foul.
There it is. Frost will go back to the line and try to make up for her miscue a few moments ago. The last meeting was a photo finish. Centennial has kept Blaine at bay in this one, scoring a quick 6 to start this half. Another miss from Frost.
Yeah, certainly if things change drastically here in the next few seconds, they're going to be wondering about some of those missed free throws.
Centennial ball again. Schloman is trying oh so hard to make something happen.
This would be possibly who to foul, and Bryant does so. Probably one of the lower percentage free throw shooters on the court right now for Centennial.
Macy Littlefield, but Blaine hasn't done much to make Centennial pay for these misses as of late. Littlefield shooting 60%.
Substitution for Blaine.
33.3 on the clock.
She puts it in when she needed to, and again, this right now for Centennial, just wanting to make sure you keep that icing on the cake and don't allow Blaine to think that they have a chance to come back.
Split at the line. Schloman again. Lafreniere lays it in. Blaine will use their last timeout. 21.5, 6-point game. Both teams will be in the double bonus the rest of the way.
A great effort. You saw Lafreniere just making sure she got in there for that second chance and putting it up and really giving herself and her team this opportunity to really make things interesting with this next 21.5. just down 6. If you have, I mean, Terry just launched that one from pretty decent range behind the three-point line and sunk it. And Jade Bryan has sunk a few threes this game. So you have some players that can nail some triples, and that they only need 2 to tie this one up.
Blaine with 3 key games ahead of them. Rogers and Maple Grove and Cambridge Isanti all next week. Rogers and Maple Grove, high caliber conference rivals, and Cambridge Isanti, that game will have significant influence in seeding. Cummings able to get it and going for the dagger.
Cummings comes up big in those moments. She has the confidence, she's calm, cool, and puts that ball up there and helps her team keep that advantage. Now putting him back up by 8 with the ball. And now gonna head to the line again.
Cummings with 13 second half points, more than enough to secure the season sweep.
How things could have changed. You saw Garber in that passing lane, able to get a hand on it as the ball came through to get up to Cummings. And if just that small hair of a longer finger could have stopped that ball up enough, what would have happened for Blaine to go back down there to shoot? I mean, so many opportunities, throughout the game that were left on the court as well. You had those layups that we talked about a lot tonight that didn't go in.
Huge splits at the line, but the story will be the second half. Centennial will hang on to it. Blaine just couldn't get enough momentum on their side at any point in this game. Centennial starts the second half with that quick 6-point burst, and that was more than enough to hold off Blaine and pick up the Northwest Suburban Conference sweep. Centennial wins 57-48, and more importantly, Blythe, this gives the Cougars the inside track to the 1 seed in Section 7-4A.
Yeah, definitely a big game that they were thinking about all day today, making sure that they were ready for it. And I think one of those players tonight that we saw so quiet in the first half, Camille Cummings, stepped up when she needed to in the second half to really help her team solidify this win.
Cummings upholding her beacon of consistency, finishing with 15 points. Marissa Frost with 14, Sydney Cukes with 10. Blaine led by Jade Bryant with 19 points, Molly Garber with 13, Lafreniere with 10. No bench points though for the Bengals, and as you noted, Blythe, a lot of times they struggle down low. If they make a few more bunnies, this game is probably up for grabs in that last minute. But Centennial, it's been a slow and steady process discovering their identity, but they've now won 9 of their last 10. You can't discount that.
Yeah, and at least, I think statistically we'd say that the Bengals still beat their percentage for free throws from that first matchup to this matchup against the Cougars. So at least you're thinking of those things that they probably really honed in on coming into today. There's something small that they can take away from this game that they did execute, maybe on even that smaller margin.
I have to issue a quick correction. It was 8 of the last 9 for Centennial, but more importantly, the Cougars building rhythm, building that run of steam that could carry them into the postseason. But still a few games to go before we get there. A reminder to follow North Metro TV on social media for programming updates, and don't forget to check out Sports Den every Monday night on YouTube and on the North Metro TV airwaves. So for Blythe Whaley and the rest of the North Metro TV crew, I'm Mike Beaton. Thank you for watching high school girls basketball. The Cougars defeat the Bengals 57-48.